If you're a New Year's resolutioner who is still training hard in February, March, April, May, June, you're no longer a New Year's resolutioner. If you make it that far, you likely are a person who was able to successfully increase their intensity when they train in the gym. Okay? So, what can happen is you can go from one extreme where you did nothing for long periods of time. That is my experience in life, where I would just do nothing for months, maybe even years. There were times, even as a personal trainer, I was so depressed that I didn't train and my clients were getting bigger and stronger than me. They were becoming more healthy than me. And my health was deteriorating and my clients were improving. And I was able to pay my bills, but I was a miserable, sad sack of shit. That's happened to me. But about a year, almost 2 years ago, I really started to train on a regular basis. And, we're talking about March of 2023. And I started by doing just the ego lifts. I wanted, bigger arms. I wanted bigger chests. And I focused on those movements. I focused on the chest. I focused a little bit on the back, the biceps and triceps. And what that allowed me to do was to get into a rhythm, a life rhythm that my body was used to. At some point during the day, I was going to hit the gym. So that got me to be regular. Then in late January of this year, my father died. And I was really at a personal crossroads. And I remembered my dad sending me a screenshot of a filthy casual MMA watch party that I was trying to host from a hotel gym. Ironically, while Mrs. Evil was running the longest race of her life. And so I had to host the show by myself, but I didn't want to skip a day in the gym. So I just kind of turned it into a makeshift training live stream while watching the fights. And my dad, who did not like MMA because it was violent, he would always pop in to support this platform anyway. With a like, he would drop some comments. But when he joined the stream, he was taken aback by how much muscle I had put on to that point. So he took a screenshot of me while I was in between sets. And I was watching the fights on my cell phone. And he sent it to me and he was just like really amazed. Like, he thought that I had large arms. And he was very proud of me for a lot of the hard work I had done. He knew how low my body weight could get if I got depressed. And so he's looking at me at the size that I was, and I think at the time I was about 190 pounds, somewhere between 190 and 195 at the time. And he's seen me when I've been as low as 145 pounds when it got really bad. And he was so impressed by what I was doing. And when he died, I had a bunch of different things running through my mind. Not all of them were negative. Because I was trying to hold on to anything from him. And so I remembered that screenshot that he sent me. And it was just something in there that made me want to be more aggressive in my training. And that's when I really started taking the leg training very seriously. And so I was, I had like a lot of back problems for about a 6-year period. And I learned from some pro bodybuilders how to train in a way that would fix my back pain. And I tested it out and it was successful. So I just wanted to make sure that I never had that kind of back pain again. So I took that lower body training extremely seriously. So from February of 2024 to now, the last day of 2024, I've been going to the gym, trying to get bigger and stronger, and the voice in my head is saying, I really wonder what my father would say if he could see me today. Would he make fun of me? Yes, but he would also be very encouraging. And he was already kind of in awe by what I was doing before, and I think to myself, I look way better now than I used to. I really wonder, like, and the thing is, you can get inspiration to train and train hard from anywhere. Sometimes people get it from a health scare of their own. Sometimes they get it from a health scare from their parents or a best friend that died from or almost died from some kind of sedentary lifestyle, overeating, obesity related malady. For me, I look at what happened to my dad. My dad's 23 years older than me. He died at age 63, so I was 40 when he died. I always knew, like, if I could just get him to move again, if I could just get him to move his body, that he would have more time. And sadly, I got a call from a healthcare agency who was calling me because they were trying to reach my father to schedule his first physical therapy appointment 1 month after he was dead. So thanks for that. And thank you, people like Brian Thompson, who make getting necessary medical care to stay alive make it very difficult on Americans. Brian Thompson, you have all of the sympathy you deserve from me. You get all the sympathy you deserve. But anyway, this was one of the things that really motivated me to train really hard. So I started training 7 days a week. I did 3 leg days a week. And I would take at the time, like early in the year, I would take a rest day once every 9 to 14 days. I think that there was one time where I hit the gym 17 days in a row. But that's the opposite extreme. You don't want to be in the gym 17 days in a row training hard, but you also don't want to take 17 days in a row doing nothing. And I learned a very, very painful, wasteful lesson about overtraining. And the lesson is, don't do it. I was in the middle of a very heavy workout, and I could actually feel my mood shifting as the seconds progressed. And I had become angry for really no reason. I started to get chills and feverish shivers. My sex drive completely disappeared. I was in a really bad mood. And then I can also feel like it felt like an elephant was sitting on me. Just out of the blue. Plop, sit on me. Not enough to kill me, but enough to maybe wish it did. I left the gym. I went home. And the fevers intensified. And the muscle aches from areas I did not train began. And I had a couple of other symptoms. And I looked it up and I realized that I had caused an immune system reaction due to overtraining. And that my body was no longer interested in having the correct immune response, which was to replace and to reinforce the muscle fibers that were affected. It said, nah, man, you got the flu. So I ended up bedridden for 2 days. Now, you would think that I lost 2 days. No, I lost more than 2 days because the 3 previous workouts that I did not get the benefit of the workouts that I did because my body stayed in a compromised state while my body went to go fend off some sort of bacteria or virus that didn't exist. I got a completely different immune system response than the one I was supposed to get. A lot of people don't understand this, but the same mechanisms that are responsible for repairing your muscle tissue and building muscle, same mechanisms that go into action when you get sick with a bacteria or a virus. So keep that in mind. So my body did not actually give me the benefit of the previous 3 sessions, hard training sessions, including the one where I started to feel the cascading effects immediately. Yeah, there was no value there, unfortunately. So not only did I lose the benefit of those 3 sessions, I also lost the benefit of 3 other sessions because I lost a day where I was supposed to do a leg session and an upper body session and another day where I was supposed to do an upper body session. So I lost the benefit of 6 training sessions. I set myself back 6 training sessions, 3 that I didn't do and 3 I actually did. And I lost out on all of those benefits because I couldn't skip out on just one of those workouts. So it's important to make sure that you kind of keep the mental approach to your training within reason, just like everything in life, right? You don't want to be chasing money all day and all night. You won't live long enough to spend the money. And so it's very similar in this instance where if you're like grinding and burning the midnight oil and, you know, especially if you're in a caloric deficit, it's just not worth it. Right? So overtraining is something that I found out about firsthand in 2024. And you would have thought that I learned my lesson. And 1 month ago, I got sick again from overtraining. And it got to the point where Mrs. Evil was like giving me the shame. You know? Now, she did not walk me through the streets of New York with no shoes on, without clothes, while people threw feces and old food at me, and I was stepping on bum juice glass bottles. I mean, guys, if you've seen Game of Thrones, Cersei's feet were fucked up. But yeah, she was definitely ringing the shame bell at me. Like, come on, you've already been through this year. It cost me the 2 workouts before, and then it cost me 2 workouts from the days that I was bedridden. And the thing is, like, you'll actually think that you got the Rona or the flu or some shit, you know? And she's putting it in the comments now. Yeah, but overtraining is a thing. It can happen to you. You need to listen to your body. If you are fatigued, sometimes it's better to just push that day's workout to the next day. Your body needs time and your body needs resources to kind of put your body back together again before you actually do become Humpty Dumpty. Okay? What other lessons did I learn? In 2024, I recognized that, how do I put this? I recognized that I can always improve my movement patterns. I can always do it. There is never going to be a time, I believe, that I am going to nail the proper movement pattern every single time. There's always a greater version of the movement that you're doing. And one of the things that has really helped me a lot is understanding I like to call it the spirit of the movement and not necessarily what the form is. I really hate it when people use the word form, because form is what it looks like. Execution is what it is. I learned that having a perfect looking anything is very close to worthless. But making sure that you are targeting the muscles that you are going there to work and being able to control that muscle both in the stretch phase and in the squeeze phase, super duper important. Now, does that keep me from possibly being injured? Yes, but I discovered a greater benefit to making sure that I'm in control of every repetition on every movement to target certain muscle groups and not involve any other unnecessary muscle groups. And that is especially when I am moving heavy weight. If I'm moving heavy weight and, again, using the row, if I'm squeezing the muscle, the squeeze in the muscle is fine. But the most benefit that I've been getting health-wise, not even just size-wise, but health-wise, is when I'm controlling the stretch portion of any motion. So in the case of we're going to use the row here, right? A lot of us like to focus on that big squeeze, right? That big squeeze, you can feel your back like really squeezing, right? I've recognized that the stretch portion, where you just kind of let that muscle that you just squeeze really stretch as far as you can and control it before squeezing again, right? I recognized that when I started really prioritizing the deep stretch in my motions, that a lot of the tightness in my body that makes me feel uncomfortable went away. I know that a lot of, back in the old days, we used to do like a lot of static stretching to try to keep people limber. And I believe that I have, with the help of a lot of prominent exercise scientists, found that prioritizing the stretch phase, it's debatable whether it nets you more hypertrophy. But what I believe is not debatable is prioritizing the stretch in your movements and controlling it makes the muscle, the actual muscle, healthier. And when you feel looser and you don't feel tight and, you don't want to like, oh shit, I'm really, really tight. When you are working through the deep stretch on any movement, that'd be the hamstrings, that would be the quads, the glutes, your lats, your rhomboids, biceps, shoulders, chest, anywhere in the body. You prioritize the stretch. Let your body get used to the stress of handling heavy resistance while you're stretched out, that's real strength, that's real stability, and that is real, you can get real limber that way. So I don't even bother stretching before or after my sessions. I stretch in every single repetition. And I have never been healthier. My muscles have never been healthier. My range of motion has never been better. My overall strength and stability never been better. So those are some of the things that I learned in 2024. I guess I'll speak for Mrs. Evil on this. Jet lag. If you're a person that gets hit by jet lag, it can really mess you up in a bunch of different ways that you probably wouldn't expect. You just wouldn't expect it. It can mess up your mess up your appetite. It can mess up your absorption of nutrients. Anything that messes up your sleep is going to mess up pretty much everything else. And, there's a brain fog that you can get. There are different symptoms that are associated with jet lag that people would not normally think that they would be afflicted by. But it really can mess with your athletic performance, both in the gym and out of the gym when you are traveling. So I know that people want to stay on their schedules and want to make sure that they stick to their programs, and that's admirable. But if you don't get the performance that you're looking for, your extended time on the airplane crossing a bunch of time zones could be an issue for you. That's something that we learned in 2024.
I don't want to interrupt your thoughts. I was just waiting.
Do you have any lessons, Mrs. Evil, for 2024?
You brought up a good one. I don't want to wheel over the thingy. I'll be taller than you for a moment. Hi, guys. Lessons learned from a runner's perspective. Pretty much ditto everything you said, because it applies to running as well. The overtraining also applies. And for me, I didn't go through the illness that you did when I overtrained, but my brain did shut off my body in a different way, where there was this mental fatigue of just training at all.
Mm-hmm.
So not necessarily that I did, just going to throw a number out there, 15 miles in one day and now I can't run any more miles, but more of I've been doing a program for an extended period of time and I just need to not do anything related to the training.
Right.
I've experienced that this year and the past year, where I've needed to just rest. I didn't get sick, but had I progressed, maybe I would have gotten sick too.
Yeah, it really is important to make sure that you stay regular in your training, but there are certain markers that your body will give you, certain warning signs that will let you know that you need to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one of them could definitely be you've been working hard for 6 to 8 or 9 weeks hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start to, maybe you're physically recovering, or you think you're physically recovering well,
mm-hmm.
but you start to really dread getting up to go.
Mm-hmm.
That is a sign that you need to let up. And there are ways that you can let up without being completely, because some people will say, well, if I stop training, and I'm one of these people,
mm-hmm.
if I stop training for more than 3 or 4 days, I may never go back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the benefits of deload weeks
mm-hmm.
are really, really useful, where you do the same motions on the same schedule that you would normally do, but at an intensity that you would swear is wasting your time, right? You'll barely feel anything, but the thing is, you'll be kind of keeping that movement going in your body, right? You're not going to be kind of just shutting it all the way down and then trying to ramp it up from zero, right? You stayed on schedule, but the physical fatigue doesn't add to the mental fatigue. And then not only that, but it's also important to have those deload weeks, because when you recover enough to get to your next training day, you haven't actually fully recovered. Most of the time, you're only recovering somewhere between 70 and 85%. When you do the deload week, which we call an active rest week, you're allowing the muscles to get more close to 100, which if you're looking to build muscle, you want the recovery to go to 100 because then there's more size there. And then you'll notice that you might be slightly, either on the same strength level or the same endurance level or slightly below for like 1 or 2 sessions. But then you'll figure out, oh, I could do way more than I was before just 2 weeks ago. So if you take 1 step forward, you could take 2 or 3 steps. If you take 1 step back, you could take, you could take 2 or 3 steps forward in your program, even for strength, for hypertrophy, for conditioning. Sometimes you just kind of have to like dial it back, because, and one of the things that I failed to mention before when it comes to overtraining, or I didn't highlight this, the same mechanisms that recover your body for training are the same mechanisms that govern your immune system. So if you're constantly tearing down your body with training, you don't have the time, you don't have enough time in rest and digest, and you don't have the resources, because all of your resources are going to repairing muscle fibers and connective tissue and resolving inflammation. Your immune system is going to, in some cases, if you overtrain, have a worse time trying to keep bacteria and viruses at bay. So you could actually become for real sick.
Yeah, this happens a lot also with the running community. So especially for people, I want to say especially for first timers, but I see a lot of comments in community forums, running community forums, from first time marathoners or even half marathoners, where during their taper time, and taper time is basically a 2 to 3, sometimes 4 week deload prior to a major race. And during that time, you're supposed to do less running miles, so that your body has the opportunity to recover from the up to 4 months, possibly more, of training that you just did. And what a lot of first timers don't realize is that you're probably going to get sick during that period. So after we do our peak mileage, which is the most amount of miles you will do in one day during a training block, the week after, many people get sick. So this is just something you learn the hard way. It's not a guarantee that you're going to get sick, and it doesn't mean that you have to get sick, like that's a badge of honor or something like that. But it's something to be mindful of as you train, that you don't overtrain, that you train just enough to what you need to do that intense race, but not to the point where during the recovery week, now you're sick. And many people do complain of being sick during their taper weeks.
It reminds me of when professional bodybuilders, some of them have passed away in preps up to a competition. Some of them have gotten really sick, they get really dizzy, lightheaded, the whole bit. And what a lot of them have figured out the hard way is that when these guys are in the gym, they're trying to set PRs or personal records while they are dieting down and they are dehydrating themselves to get down to a certain level of conditioning, or in certain classes, they're trying to get underneath a weight cap. And then they're trying to lift the most that they've ever tried to lift in life, either in volume or in resistance, while their body is deprived of nutrients,
Yeah.
right? And bad things can happen. And it has happened to even professional bodybuilders who are being coached by the absolute best coaches in the world, right? So, those guys that you see that are like 340 pounds of muscle, those guys are human just like the rest of us, right? So, yeah, it's just really, those are some of the important things that we have learned here in 2024. And there are going to be some more lessons that we're going to learn.
And relearn.
Yeah, and relearn. Yeah.
I was trying to think of some of my lessons learned, and they're actually lessons that I had to relearn. Like the treadmill is okay. The treadmill is not an enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Use the damn treadmill. Another, I hate treadmills, but it's actually become.
Yeah, psychologically is not engaging enough, so it does something to certain centers of your brain to shut them down, and it does decrease the effectiveness. But if you don't have any other option, like there's a bomb cyclone, headed your way, and there's 27 inches of snow.
Or wildfires.
Yeah.
Or, 90 degrees plus Fahrenheit plus humidity.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What's the other lesson I was trying to think that I relearned? For runners, or from a runner's perspective, we can get caught up very much in the number of miles ran and the speed at which you ran. And it's very easy to watch all of these YouTubers and go, oh man, they ran 100 miles this week. And while I know better than to sit there and think, why can't I do that? You do feel a little bit of that when you watch it. Of, oh, why can't I do that? Oh, I want to be like this person who runs 80 to 100 miles a week. However, the number of miles ran is not always the most important. Probably is not the most important, but actually the time on feet. So I feel like I'm going back to the beginning, or back to fundamentals of the method when I first started to train for marathons. When I was first training for my very first marathon, and I focused on time-based runs. And at the time, it felt like I was doing baby stuff, beginner stuff, that I wasn't, yet at a level where I could say, I'm going to run 4 miles today, or I'm going to run 8 miles today. And I didn't appreciate that type of training for a long time, actually. And I'm now appreciating it more during 2024, where time-based runs are super, super important. So now what I do in this in-between, right before I go for Jersey City Marathon, is do more time-based runs. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and then eventually 10 miles and 12 miles. Because 20 minutes 5 times a week is better than no minutes 5 times a week. Or trying to do 2 miles, but I go, oh no, I can't do 2 miles today because I'm so busy. But I could do 20 minutes. Forget about the number of miles that happen after the 20 minutes or during the 20 minutes. But time-based runs are very, very important, and they're extremely useful. And I have grown to appreciate them again. So it's a lesson relearned.
Well, a couple of points on that. And some people say, I don't have enough time to train. 15 minutes is better than nothing. That's number one. Number two, guys, run your own race.
Yes.
And this is going to be a problem more for men than for women. But when you're in the gym and you are just going in there for the first time and you see people that are, let's say some dude is bicep curling, 45-pound dumbbells next to you, don't go next to him and grab the 45s or the 50s. When you were like using your whole body, you're doing some body English to kind of slinky the weight up, everybody's looking at you like you're a fool, and they're cringing from third-hand pain of watching you do something that you're not prepared to do. Don't worry about how much weight the other guy is lifting. You look at him, if you're not at his level, use that guy for inspiration, saying, I'm going to get there. I'm going to start here where I belong. And I'm going to be happy when I'm able to do what that guy is doing on that level. But don't go into the gym thinking, oh, I got to lift as much as somebody else. I hear a lot of people asking, well, how much should the average guy lift for this or for that?
People ask the same
Fuck
questions
all
for running.
that. Yeah, fuck
They
all
very much
that.
overlap. How many miles should I be running per week? Don't even worry about miles.
Nope.
Minutes.
Yep.
How many minutes? How many minutes should you be walking? That's the other thing. People go, oh, you run X number of hours? Actually, a chunk of that time is spent walking. So there's also this misconception that you spend the entire duration running. And for like the professionals and people who have been doing it for a while, or people who are just more conditioned, yes, they can run for hours and hours and hours and hours straight. But a lot of us don't. You walk, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. And, you know, some of us take a lot of rest periods in between sets. I'm one of those. I'm guilty of that, right? But run your race, not somebody else's. And don't be intimidated by the guy next to you. Understand that if you work hard over time, you can meet or even exceed what that guy is doing, right? But also understand that that guy was where you are right now at some point in the past. And maybe this is the point where one day you're going to become a regular. You're going to work for the kind of body, either in strength or aesthetics, that you've always wanted. You could be very, very close to that this time next year. We could be looking into 2026. And you are one of those people that went from being a New Year's resolutioner to living the lifestyle. And somebody will be looking to you for guidance and inspiration. But understand that it starts today. And for some of you, maybe you're not going to get started training January 1st or the 15th or the 31st. And that's fine. Understand that you can start a resolution to do something good for your health any day of the year. When you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you want to be healthy or you want to look better, I'm always here for guidance. We're here almost every Saturday. I know we had like a month off of the Filthy Casual MMA watch party.
We'll be back in January.
But, you know, you come through our live streams when we're doing anything. You can always ask any fitness related question. I will help you.
Or your driving live streams.
You know, my driving live streams on the DEG channel, which is the link to the Dr. Evil Genius channel, is in the description of this video. And I cover fitness topics 3 times a week, at least, on that channel. You can ask any question you want. You can contact me if you would like my services. I do remote services. I do program writing. Ugh. I hate doing program writing, but I'll do it for a nominal fee. But there are a lot of different resources that are out there. People who will be patient with you, will walk you every step of the way. I just started working with a woman who's 72 years old. You know, I had that woman deadlifting 75 pounds today.
Nice.
On the first, just teaching her how to hip hinge.
This is
on day one.
Day one, right?
Day
your
one.
Last session was just not really a session. It was a consultation, right?
But I took her through the squat and certain movements. Like
day one of deadlift.
Yeah. The first time she's ever learning how to hip hinge.
Mm-hmm. And at what?
75 pounds. 72 years old.
For the folks in the back.
72 years old. So now I have a 72-year-old client, female, and a 73-year-old client, male. Mm-hmm. Right? I got them doing stuff. I had the other guy bench pressing 75. I'm like, yo, let's do this. You know, let's do it. You know.
But I know if we talk about his pecs, he's gonna be like, no, he's gonna run away.
He's like, I can't even feel them. This is stupid. I love that guy. But the thing is, like, if you get a coach that's really good, that really knows what he's doing, is passionate, loves what he does, he or she, You can get so many more benefits from this than you are expecting. And that's what we hope for you. Maybe we will point back to this video for certain concepts if people are interested later. I will be adding more TSP fitness videos in the future. I want to say near future, but just like Don Mazzetti, when it comes to bro science life,
sometime in 2025.
I can't always, stay on the schedule that I would like. I believe that I'm going to have a real rough time of it in about 4 weeks, being the anniversary of my father's death. I'm expecting it to be a rough time. Maybe it won't be so rough. But I will be doing a lot of things to bring more knowledge and motivation to you guys. If you like that kind of thing, definitely go over to the Dr. Evil Genius channel on YouTube. Like I said, the link is in the description under Watch Our Personal Channels. Definitely click on that, and you'll see Genius Take the Wheel, and it's usually me in the car after I left the gym. So definitely check that out. And I believe that is the meat and potatoes of it.
Meat and taters.
Right? And in a couple of weeks, we'll be watching people get dropped, like sacks of taters.
Yeah, potatoes.
All right? Thank you so much for watching and for sticking through the stream. Thank you for giving us your insights as a runner and a coach. Because I ain't doing all that. All right?
You're also my coach.
Yeah, for other stuff, but not for that. So you can get cardiovascular assistance here. You can get bodybuilding advice here. You can get strength training. I just hit my lifetime high in the deadlift. I matched it on Sunday. Maybe I'll show footage of that if I can get it up on the screen. But yeah, that'll be all for today. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.